بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لقد من الله على المؤمنين إذ بعث فيهم رسولا من أنفسهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين.
In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Indeed, Allah conferred a great favor upon the believers when He sent among them a messenger from themselves, reciting to them His verses, purifying them, and teaching them the book and wisdom, although they had been before in clear error.
In the vast desert lands of Arabia, over 1400 years ago, the world witnessed the birth of a figure whose influence transcends time and geography. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. His life was a beacon of truth, mercy, and justice, guiding humanity through the darkness of ignorance and into the light of divine wisdom. Through this journey, we will explore the life of this extraordinary human, from his early years to his departure, and uncover the profound message and timeless lessons he left for all of humanity. Whether you seek to deepen your understanding or are simply curious, let us embark on this enlightening journey together. To understand the significance of Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, life, we must first look at the world he was born into. The Arabian Peninsula in the 6th century was a land of stark contrasts, vast deserts, bustling trade routes, and a society deeply divided by tribal loyalties. This era, known as the Age of Ignorance, was marked by social injustice, moral decay, and widespread idol worship. The Kaaba, the sacred house of worship built by Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail, had been filled with idols. Women and the poor were often oppressed, with female infants buried alive out of shame.
And when the girl who was buried alive is asked, for what sin she was killed?
The Arabian Peninsula was a land of tribal divisions where each tribe had its own laws, bound only by loyalty to its own blood. There was no central authority, just tribal chiefs competing for power. Yet, amidst this darkness, there were signs of hope. Many people were searching for truth, rejecting idolatry, and yearning for a message of unity and justice. It was in this environment that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born, destined to change the course of history. Makkah was a flourishing trade center, but wealth was concentrated in the hands of the elite, leaving the poor unprotected. Idol worship, superstition, and fortune-telling dominated spiritual life. However, the birth of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, brought a divine message of hope, mercy, and guidance for all humanity.
أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين.
And we have not sent you, O Muhammad, except as a mercy to the worlds.
Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born in the year 571 AD in the city of Makkah. His father Abdullah passed away before his birth, and his mother, Amina, may Allah be pleased with her, raised him with great care. Muhammad's, peace be upon him, lineage traced back to Prophet Ismail, connecting him to the noble and respected family of Quraysh. The name Muhammad means the praised one, a name chosen by his grandfather Abdul Muttalib, who had a vision of his grandson's greatness. This vision would indeed come true, as Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would become a beacon of guidance for all of humanity. Tragedy struck early in his life when his mother passed away when he was just 6 years old. Orphaned, he was then cared for by his grandfather. However, his grandfather also passed away when Muhammad, peace be upon him, was just 8 years old. His loving uncle, Abu Talib, then took him under his wing and cared for him as his own child. Despite these early hardships, young Muhammad, peace be upon him, was known for his extraordinary sense of honesty, kindness, and wisdom. His integrity earned him the title Al-Amin, the trustworthy. He was well regarded by all who knew him for his fairness and compassion. During his early life, young Muhammad, peace be upon him, also witnessed the social and moral decay of Makkah. The Kaaba, the sacred house of worship originally built by Prophet Ibrahim and his son Prophet Ismail, had been filled with idols. Superstition and fortune-telling dominated the spiritual landscape. Despite the corruption around him, Muhammad, peace be upon him, remained pure and free from the idol worship that was rampant in his society. Makkah was a bustling trade center, but wealth was concentrated in the hands of the elite, leaving the poor and vulnerable unprotected. Muhammad, peace be upon him, was always sympathetic to the plight of the less fortunate, and his compassion extended to all, regardless of their social status. As a young man, Muhammad, peace be upon him, worked as a shepherd, tending to flocks and leading a humble life. Later, he embarked on a career as a merchant, a profession that took him to various regions, exposing him to diverse cultures and religions. These travels deepened his understanding of the world and the different ways people lived and believed. One of the most significant events of his youth was his participation in the Hilf al-Fudul, a pact established by some noble individuals of Makkah to protect the rights of the weak and oppressed. This early commitment to justice and fairness would later define his prophethood. Despite the moral decay around him, Muhammad, peace be upon him, remained steadfast in his integrity, earning the respect and trust of everyone around him. He was known for his unmatched honesty in trade, which earned him the title Al-Amin, the trustworthy. At the age of 25, Muhammad, peace be upon him, was approached by a wealthy and noble businesswoman, Hazrat Khadija, may Allah be pleased with her, who had heard of his trustworthiness and impeccable character. Impressed by his virtues, she proposed marriage. Their marriage was a partnership built on love, mutual respect, and unwavering support. Hazrat Khadija, may Allah be pleased with her, became his greatest supporter, standing by him during the most challenging times. Their union brought stability and peace to Muhammad's, peace be upon him, life, allowing him to focus on his spiritual journey. Together, they had 6 children, including their beloved daughter, Fatima, may Allah be pleased with her, who would play a significant role in Islamic history. Muhammad, peace be upon him, would often retreat to the cave of Hira, seeking solitude to reflect on the problems of society and search for truth. His dedication to finding the truth and his concern for the moral decay of society led him to this moment of divine revelation. At the age of 40, during one of his regular retreats to the cave of Hira, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, experienced a life-changing moment that would alter the course of history. It was the month of Ramadan, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, had spent many nights in deep reflection and worship, seeking solace away from the distractions of Makkah. One night, as he was immersed in prayer and contemplation, Angel Jibreel appeared before him. The angel's presence was overwhelming, filling the cave with divine light. Jibreel, peace be upon him, held a piece of silk cloth inscribed with words and commanded Muhammad, peace be upon him, "Read in the name of your Lord who created." Trembling with awe, Muhammad, peace be upon him, replied, "I am not a reader." He had never been taught to read or write, and the command seemed impossible. But Jibreel, peace be upon him, embraced him tightly and repeated the command. Again, Muhammad, peace be upon him, responded the same way. After the third embrace, Jibreel, peace be upon him, recited the first verses of the Quran.
اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم.
Read in the name of your Lord who created man from a clinging clot. Read, and your Lord is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught man what he did not know.
These words, filled with divine wisdom and mercy, were etched into Muhammad's, peace be upon him, heart. Overwhelmed by the experience, he left the cave and hurried home to his wife, Khadijah, may Allah be pleased with her. When he entered their home, he was trembling and asked Khadijah to cover him. She wrapped him in a blanket and comforted him, saying, "By Allah, he will never disgrace you. You maintain family ties, help the poor, and speak the truth." Khadijah, may Allah be pleased with her, then took him to her cousin, Waraka bin Nawfal, a learned Christian scholar. Upon hearing what had happened, Waraka declared, "This is the same angel who came to Musa, peace be upon him. O Muhammad, your people will drive you out, and you will face great trials." This moment marked the beginning of prophethood and the revelation of the Quran, a divine message that would guide humanity for all time. For the next 3 years, the revelations continued privately, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, shared the message of Islam with a small circle of trusted individuals. His first followers were his wife Khadijah, his cousin Ali, his dear friend Abu Bakr, and his servant Zayd. Slowly, Islam spread among the weak, slaves, and marginalized. However, the time came to proclaim the message publicly, marking the beginning of a long and arduous journey. After 3 years, Allah commanded the Prophet to proclaim Islam publicly.
وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ.
And warn your closest relatives.
In obedience to this command, the Prophet, peace be upon him, climbed Mount Safa, a prominent hill in Makkah. Standing at its peak, he called out to the people of Quraysh, using the traditional method of summoning tribes for important announcements. He cried out, "O people of the morning!" a call that would gather the people quickly. The Quraysh, curious and concerned, rushed to the base of the mountain, wondering what urgent matter had brought Muhammad, peace be upon him, to address them in such a manner. When the crowd had gathered, the Prophet, peace be upon him, asked them, "If I were to tell you that an army is advancing on you from behind this mountain, would you believe me?" The people, who had always known him as Al-Amin, the trustworthy, replied, "Yes, we would believe you, for we have never heard you lie." Seizing this moment, the Prophet, peace be upon him, declared, "Then I warn you of a severe punishment that is coming. Save yourselves from the fire of hell. Worship Allah alone and abandon your idols." The crowd fell silent, stunned by his words. But the silence was soon broken by Abu Lahab, the Prophet's uncle and one of his fiercest opponents. Abu Lahab erupted in anger, shouting, "May you perish! Is this why you gathered us here?" Abu Lahab's harsh reaction set the tone for the opposition that followed. The Quraysh, who had once respected Muhammad, peace be upon him, for his honesty and integrity, now turned against him. They mocked him, ridiculed his message, and accused him of being a poet, a sorcerer, or even possessed. Despite the hostility, the Prophet, peace be upon him, remained steadfast. He continued to preach, calling people to abandon idol worship and embrace the worship of the one true God, Allah. The Quraysh's opposition grew increasingly violent. They began to persecute the early Muslims, especially those who were weak and vulnerable. Bilal, may Allah be pleased with him, a former slave, was tortured by his master, Umayyah, who would place a heavy rock on his chest under the scorching sun, demanding that he renounce Islam. Sumayya, may Allah be pleased with her, an elderly woman, became the first martyr of Islam when she was brutally killed by Abu Jahl for refusing to abandon her faith. The Prophet, peace be upon him, himself faced relentless persecution. He was mocked, insulted, and even physically attacked. On one occasion, while he was praying near the Kaaba, Abu Jahl threw the entrails of a slaughtered animal on his back. The Prophet, peace be upon him, endured this humiliation with patience, wiping away the filth and continuing his prayer. In the year of sorrow, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, lost his beloved wife Khadijah and his protective uncle Abu Talib. Isolated and grieving, the Prophet, peace be upon him, visited the city of Taif, hoping for support. Instead, he was mocked and pelted with stones until his sandals filled with blood. Even in pain, his heart shone with mercy. O Allah, guide my people, for they do not know. In this time of hardship, Allah honored the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, with a miraculous journey from Makkah to Masjid al-Aqsa in Jerusalem. He ascended through the heavens, met past prophets, and received the command for the 5 daily prayers. This journey strengthened the Prophet's resolve and provided solace to the believers. Despite the opposition, the Prophet, peace be upon him, never wavered in his mission. He continued to call people to Islam, emphasizing the oneness of Allah and the importance of justice, compassion, and equality. The Quranic verses revealed during this period provided solace and guidance to the believers. The Prophet's, peace be upon him, unwavering resolve in the face of such adversity is a testament to his faith and dedication to Allah's message. His courage and patience during this difficult period laid the foundation for the spread of Islam, inspiring countless generations to come.
Indeed, with hardship comes ease.
In 622 AD, after enduring years of persecution in Makkah, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers were granted a new beginning. The people of Yathrib, later renamed Medina, had invited the Prophet, peace be upon him, to their city, pledging to protect him and support the cause of Islam. The journey was perilous. The Quraysh, fearing the growing influence of Islam, plotted to assassinate the Prophet, peace be upon him. But Allah protected him, and under the cover of night, he and Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, left Makkah. They took refuge in the cave of Thor, where a spider spun a web and a dove laid eggs at the entrance, concealing their presence from the pursuing Quraysh.
ومن يهاجر في سبيل الله يجد في الأرض مراغما كثيرا وسعة.
And whoever emigrates for the cause of Allah will find on the earth many places of refuge and abundance.
After a long and arduous journey, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, arrived in Quba, near Medina, where he stayed for a few days and built the first mosque in Islam, Masjid Quba. When the Prophet, peace be upon him, entered Medina, the people welcomed him with joy. The children of Medina sang, "The full moon has risen upon us, from the valley of Wada. We must express gratitude, as long as one calls to Allah. This heartfelt welcome marked the beginning of a new era for Islam. In Medina, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, established the first Islamic state. He drafted the Constitution of Medina, a groundbreaking document that guaranteed religious freedom, social justice, and mutual cooperation among Muslims, Jews, and other communities. The Prophet's mosque was built, serving as the spiritual and political center of the new community. The Prophet, peace be upon him, also established bonds of brotherhood between the Muhajirin, migrants from Makkah, and the Ansar, helpers from Medina, creating a society based on compassion and solidarity. Medina became the stage for some of the most significant events in Islamic history. Battle of Badr, 624 CE, a decisive Muslim victory despite being outnumbered. The Quran describes this as a sign of divine assistance. Battle of Uhud, 625 CE, a painful lesson in obedience and resilience. Battle of the Trench, 627 CE, a defensive success against a coalition of hostile tribes. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah, 628 CE, a masterstroke of diplomacy. Despite seemingly unfavorable terms, the treaty allowed Islam to spread peacefully and paved the way for the conquest of Mecca in 630 CE. Conquest of Makkah, 630 CE. When the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, returned to Makkah, he did so not as a conqueror but as a merciful leader. He forgave his former enemies, declaring, "Go, for you are free." This act of forgiveness transformed hearts and solidified the triumph of Islam. In 632 CE, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, performed his farewell pilgrimage and delivered his historic sermon at Mount Arafat. This sermon is a timeless guide for humanity. The final sermon delivered by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, during his farewell pilgrimage is considered one of the most significant and profound messages in Islamic history. This sermon encapsulates the core principles of Islam and provides timeless guidance for humanity. He began by praising Allah and reminding the people of the sanctity of life, property, and honor. He declared, "Indeed, your blood, your wealth, and your honor are sacred to you, as sacred as this day of yours, in this month of yours, in this land of yours." The Prophet, peace be upon him, emphasized the sacredness of human life, property, and honor. He reminded the believers that these aspects are inviolable, drawing a parallel with the sanctity of the day of Arafat, the month of Hijrah, and the holy city of Makkah. This underscores the importance of respecting and protecting each other's rights, which is a fundamental principle in Islam. One of the most powerful messages of the sermon is the declaration of equality among all people. He emphasized the equality of all people, saying, "No Arab has superiority over a non-Arab, nor does a non-Arab have superiority over an Arab. No white person has superiority over a black person, nor does a black person have superiority over a white person, except by piety." The Prophet, peace be upon him, clearly stated that no one is superior to another based on race, ethnicity, or color. The only criterion for superiority is piety and righteousness. This message promotes universal brotherhood and the idea that all humans are equal in the eyes of Allah. The Prophet, peace be upon him, stressed the importance of treating women with kindness and respect. Treat women with kindness. At a time when women's rights were often neglected, this guidance highlighted their honorable status and the necessity of upholding their rights. It serves as a reminder of the significant role that women play in society and the importance of treating them with dignity and compassion. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, then asked the gathered people 3 times, "Have I not conveyed the message?" The people responded each time with, "Yes." He then raised his forefinger to the sky and said, "O Allah, bear witness." During this sermon, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, announced the completion of the religion of Islam.
اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا.
This day I have perfected for you your religion and completed my favor upon you and have approved for you Islam as religion.
In his final advice, the Prophet, peace be upon him, emphasized the importance of adhering to the Quran and his Sunnah. O people, I have left among you that which, if you hold fast to it, you will never go astray, the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of His Prophet. By holding fast to these sources of guidance, the Muslim community would remain on the right path and avoid going astray. This advice is a cornerstone for Islamic teaching and practice, ensuring that the principles of justice, equality, and compassion are upheld. The final sermon remains a guiding light for Muslims and all of humanity, encapsulating the essence of Islamic values and the Prophet's, peace be upon him, mission. It continues to inspire and guide millions of people around the world, promoting a message of peace, justice, and universal brotherhood. Shortly after the farewell pilgrimage, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, fell ill. Despite his illness, he continued to lead the community and offer guidance. He spent his final days in the house of his beloved wife Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her. The Prophet, peace be upon him, experienced severe pain and fever during his illness. He continued to emphasize the importance of prayer and the treatment of those under one's care. His dedication to these principles remained unwavering, even in his final moments. In 632 CE, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, passed away in Medina. His final words were, the prayer, and those whom your right hands possess." The legacy of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, continues to inspire billions of people around the world. The impact of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was profound as he illuminated not only Arabia but the entire world with his message of unity, justice, and divine guidance. The principles he emphasized in his final sermon, such as the sanctity of life, equality, and the treatment of women, are enduring values that continue to resonate. Through his life and teachings, he provided timeless lessons that continue to inspire and guide people to this day. As we reflect on his journey, let us strive to embody his values in our own lives. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him. This is the presentation of Islamic Lounge. May his story illuminate your path and bring you closer to the truth.